Hi everyone, my name is Sammy and I have a channel for human design. I'm a 5/1 emotional projector and today I want to make a video about what it's like to have an emotional authority. So 51% of the population, around 50%, is going to have this emotional authority. So you know that we want to know our type, so that's like manifestor, manifesting generator, projector, or reflector, and then you have the authority. So there are tons of other authorities, but like I said, 51% is going to be the emotional, and that's what we're talking about today. All right, so let's get started. I love being an emotional authority being, but it is very complex. It's probably one of the biggest things to recognize and to take in when you first start. I've said in countless videos that, one of the major things I focused on when I first started my deconditioning was watching my emotional wave. And I talk so much about emotional waves because I feel like it's kind of lost in the background sometimes. We talk about our type so much, about being a projector or being a generator, but we don't talk about what it's really like to work with our authority that comes with it. Because the emotional part of being a projector makes my projector aspects so much different than, say, someone with a splenic, authority, or something like that. I don't know why that was so hard for me to come up with. But anyways, it's really important that we understand the difference between authorities. So our emotional wave is going, for me at least, to take about a few days. If you haven't understood your emotional authority yet, that is what I would follow until you kind of understand where it is at. And the best thing to do is to start doing it with everything that you care about and everything that you think about. Like, for example, if you have to make a decision to go meet someone, give yourself a few days. Say no in the moment and be like, I'll get back to you. That's the number one thing. If you take away anything from this video that I can tell you, is to start getting yourself in the habit of not saying yes to every little thing. Because if we do, we're going to regret it because we have emotional waves. And when we're on our low part of emotional waves, a lot of the times those tedious things or those things that you're like, oh, I don't know, I don't really want to go anymore. And you feel so guilty because you don't want to go. But it's only because you weren't being true to yourself in that moment and acting like, you were going to feel the same way. And the reason I say you're not being true in the moment is because even though you might feel in the moment that, oh, I really want to do this, again, you have to understand there's no truth in the now. There's only truth with time. With time, we get clarity. With time, we get to figure things out. With time, deconditioning happens. And with time, human design starts to figure itself out and we understand our place in it. Does that make sense? Time is so beautiful for emotional projector or emotional beings in general. Sorry, I'm so used to saying projector afterwards. Any emotional being, anyone with emotional authority is going to have a lot of wisdom with time. And with the way that our world works nowadays, that's not something that is usually loved or appreciated. And I've realized so much about how beautiful it is to slow down, to not amplify things when you're in the high, and to not discard the lows that you feel, to not brainwash yourself into thinking that these lows are something wrong with you, but to embrace the fact that we feel so much. A lot of the times we talk about people who don't have this authority, about people who are more empathetic, people who have an open solar plexus. But let me tell you the difference here. So if I'm in my emotional wave and I am in a low part and I go out, I am going to have everyone around me in that environment amplify my low. But vice versa, they're going to amplify if I was in a high state. So if I went out there and amplified my high state of being and was just in such a good mood, and I told everyone that I was going to do all the things that they invited me to, and I acted like I was into all this stuff that I was feeling in the moment, and I said yes to a date and I blah, 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 without thinking, not only am I affecting the people around me because they're amplifying their excitement, and I'm sitting there just kind of, you know, overwhelming things in a positive state, that can still be wrong because I'm still amplifying things for other people. And that, to some degree, has to be our responsibility. Obviously, I understand the only person that you can control, or we can control in our lives, is ourselves. So knowing that, it is important that we both take stride here, because I feel like people who are not emotional beings expect us to figure everything out right now. We'll go work more if you need money. Go figure things out. There's this pressure for emotional beings to get it now or you're going to lose out. Get it now. You have to do things now. Now, now, now. We want everything now. We want to be deconditioned now. We want to figure out human design right now. We want to, everything has to be now. Do you like me now? Do you blah, blah, blah? And it's like, that pressure is not real. That pressure is literally not a real thing. It's for everyone else who doesn't have emotional authority that is amplifying that feeling of the now, because it's a false part of being an emotional being. It's just not happen. It doesn't happen, because I guarantee you, and I am telling you from experience, that the now, the feeling of now, getting things right away, is so lame compared to getting things over time. I can tell you, it is so lame. Progress over time, relationships over time, building things over time, and that means building things within yourself, loving yourself over time, is going to not only make that better, but it's going to make them long lasting. Do you know how we look up things like, well, how do you get, I'm going to use a really, really lame example, but like how people want Instagram followers right away, right? I don't really like, I mean, I use Instagram, but not very much. So I'm going to use that as an example. And people want it the now. They want fame now. They want to be a TikTok, whatever now. But what they don't realize is the people that slowly over time get growth, just like a business, slowly over time get growth, see the better results. Now, I'm not saying that's always the case, but like for the most part, it is, because you don't realize how much work went into that. And when you put a bunch of work into something, so much progress, so much mastery, so much, love and in your emotions, if you're an emotional being, you're putting your emotions in there. That means on the highs and the lows, everything that you've continued to go back to and you continually choose, it is strengthening that bond, strengthening that thing that you're wanting, and strengthening how you feel about it on your highs and lows. So eventually that decision feels so sure, even though it won't ever be 100% in the clarity, because unfortunately, even with emotional waves, when we make a decision, we're still gonna feel what the decision could be if it went wrong. But you have to realize that that is actually a very beautiful gift that we're given, to be able to see things for how they could go wrong. Even if we are excited and love it, we can still see the other aspects of it, the other emotions that come along with it. But I think that's an amazing thing. I think that's something that we should constantly be loving about ourselves. But as an emotional being in a world that moves so fast, it is incredibly difficult to slow down. But the only way that we're ever going to truly get to see the absolute depth that we have within ourselves is to love every aspect of that wave. To not judge the things that come up when we're thinking about things that could go wrong. To love that within ourselves. Because I think when we do, and we go out and we're in the mood that we are in, other people can see that. Other people can see where we're at in our wave. But we might not be able to see it in ourselves. But once we do, once we understand this about ourselves, it gives us more power. Whether you're like me, who would rather stay by themselves when they're in the lower parts of the emotional wave, or whether it's just knowing it enough to know not to go out there and just be so up or so low, so you're not affecting other people in a way you don't want to either. And you're not, making decisions in the moment, but you're making decisions over time so that you can build those strengths within yourself and build them within your community, your friendships, your relationships, your work, everything in life. And I'm telling you, to be an emotional being and to do that over time is so absolutely beautiful. And yes, again, I want to say, people who don't have the emotional authority, you do have the empathy. You do have the ability to see things and feel things in an amazing way if it's open. But if you have an emotional authority, yes, that means that your solar plexus is defined and you have a certain way of dealing with your emotions in that wave. But you can also feel things on every aspect for the things that you're going through, and think about how beautiful that is. All right, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for letting me talk about being an emotional being or having that emotional authority. If you have any questions, please comment below, and thank you so much.